under the most pressure to win right now? Neek.
I wish we could go back and fight about that last question why you're wrong, but I think the answer is Stafford and McVay in this situation because they've traded away everything to get this roster as good as they can get it right now. So this is Stafford's only chance, frankly, to put together a real legitimate run at a championship. And McVay has seemed to encourage this team to mortgage its future for its right now. So they need to win. There's a ton of pressure on them if they are not able to pull it off this season.
Okay, fair enough. So Neek is going with that. I thought I'd bring that one in. We can get back to the Baker Mayfield stuff a little later if you'd like. Dominique, we'll see if we can figure out a time to do it. But in the meantime, Ninko, I'll come to you on the same question. Give me a coach-quarterback duo that you think is under the most pressure right now.
I'm going to go with Frank Reich and Carson Wentz. And we all know Carson's story being with the Eagles and the struggles that he's had. But Frank Reich bringing him into the Colts building that was just a playoff team with Rivers, a veteran quarterback. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was in Miami, I went there in 2007. 2007, John Bonamigo was the special teams coordinator, and I remember him coming up to me and saying, listen, I stood on the table for you, so I basically got you into the door, so you can't let me down. And that's basically Frank standing on the table saying, this is my guy. He's got to come in there. Carson Wentz has got to come in, and he's got to be successful because Frank stood on the table for him, and you can't let Frank down.
That is a really good story and a really good point, which could make me rethink my pick. But in the meantime, Jeff Darlington, let me come to you. The duo under most pressure.
I think that is a good point, but I'm still with Dominique on this one. I don't even think it's close. Matt Stafford and Sean McVay, for really separate reasons, but now joint reasons. They're in this thing together, but you can't give up the quarterback in Jared Goff, give away 2 first-round picks in the process, and not get the answer at the position. So, quite frankly, I think Sean McVay really is under a lot of pressure as a result of this. And Matt Stafford, just from a legacy standpoint, he has a lot to secure in Los Angeles as well. So these two right now, I mean, I can't think of a quarterback coach under this much pressure in years, let alone just right now.
That's a good point. I like everything that everyone here has said. It has made me feel a little less good about my pick, which is John Gruden and Derek Carr, which I will defend because I just can't figure that out. I thought John Gruden would get rid of Derek Carr before his first season. Here we are in their 4th season together. I can't believe it's still going on. And there's rumors about Aaron Rodgers, this, that, and the other. And they haven't had a winning season yet. They haven't quite figured it out. I think there was a great deal of a microscope on them and pressure to win. But honestly, I'll admit it. I like all of your picks better than I like mine right now.
I think the Raiders one's good too.
Meanwhile, let's talk about a different quarterback here. Let's talk about a young guy in Kyler Murray. You know the history here, right? He's the first pick overall in 2019. He was the first person ever to be a first-round pick in both baseball and in football. He was named the Offensive Rookie of the Year in that first season, 2019, which saw him join Cam Newton as the only rookies with 3,500 passing yards and 500 rushing yards. It was moving in a good direction, and in 2020, he took it up a notch. 9 games with both a passing and rushing touchdown, the most any quarterback has ever done in a season. He threw 26 touchdowns. He ran for 11 more. And speaking with Cardinals.com, the general manager recently said this about Murray's progression, quote, "It's the little things, whether it's seeing the field or playing with a little more consistency, knowing we have a guy who's a game changer, a special player, he's a rare competitor. I would say my confidence at the position and in general is at a real high." So they think in Arizona that this is the year that Kyler Murray becomes an NFL superstar, that he breaks out and becomes a star. So I want to ask my crew today, who would you bet on? Who do you think becomes this year's breakout NFL quarterback star? Rob Ninkovich, who is it?
I'm going with Joe Burrow. And I'm saying that because he is reunited and it feels so good with Jamar Chase, who in 2019, they had 20 touchdowns together. I mean, think about that in 2019, the amount of offense that they put up together. And there's already been statements on OTAs that they're right back to where they were in college. So you take that and you add T. Higgins into the mix. I think offensively, they've improved their offensive line through the draft. Cincinnati's going to be a great offense, and Joe Burrow is going to be the next big guy in the NFL. He was almost there, and then he got hurt, unfortunately.
Well done, Peaches. Let me go to Herb here, which will be Jeff Darlington today. Jeff, who do you think is this season's breakout star?
Breakout is probably not the right word, but you mentioned superstar. Look, Ryan Tannehill gets eye rolls all the time when you mention him. But the guy has the highest passer rating in the NFL since 2019, the past couple seasons. He also has the highest yards per pass. It's not like this guy is just dumping it off. Now he's got Julio Jones. He's got an offense with Derrick Henry in the backfield. He probably still won't get the credit that he deserves if he does succeed, but this is set up for him to be an absolute monster this year. So breakout, he's already broken out in my opinion, but I think he will continue to open eyes in 2021.
I like that pick. I agree with your thinking. Dominique, how about you?
I don't know how you're going to accept that from Jeff Darlington. He said the guy broke out, and then he said he's going to break out again. You can't double break out. Then you're breaking back in. You're not understanding how the breakout works. Greeny, I'm disappointed. You would have never let me get away with that nonsense, Mike.
That's not
true.
But
that's all right.
He's taken it up a notch. He gets eye rolls. I agree. When you ask people to name the best quarterbacks in the NFL, no one says Ryan Tannehill.
Thank you.
That's because Ryan Tannehill's offense is largely based on play action. But I'll answer the question at some point. Ryan Tannehill deserves to get a lot of credit, and I hope that he breaks out of his already broken out of situation. Double breakout for him. Sam Darnold is my pick. A legitimate breakout. A guy who's been really bad, frankly, for quite some time because he's been in a bad situation. He's moving down to Carolina to be paired up with Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator. A lot of really talented skill position players around them and a young, talented defense. I think that it's possible that Sam Darnold, they're going to ask him to do less. They're going to put him in a situation with a coordinator who knows how to work with a quarterback like him and with receivers and running backs that can make big plays. I think this is going to be the best situation he's ever been in, and that is what you call a breakout, Jeff.
Oh, stop it.
Fair enough. Now,
No.
for that reason, I couldn't do the one I wanted to do, which was Justin Herbert. But I was afraid that Dominique would yell at me and say he has already broken out. I think he's going to be the MVP of the league. But I'll give you another one, Neek. How about Daniel Jones? How about Daniel Jones of the New York Giants?
That would be a breakout.
Daniel
Top
Jones.
breakout.
That offensive line should be better. They've added weapons on the outside. Saquon Barkley comes back healthy. It's now or never. This guy was the 6th pick in the draft for a reason. I think Daniel Jones is going to have a huge year, Neek.
Well, the reason he was the 6th pick in the draft was because of their general manager, not necessarily because of how good Daniel Jones is. That's a whole nother conversation. But at least you were true to the exercise. That's a real breakout. Daniel Jones would be a real breakout.
Stop it.
Darlington on that.
We don't have time for
All right, we got fighting. We got to retire to our separate corners for a minute, but we have a whole other hour to continue this conversation. Oh, and we have this too. Game 1 of an all-SEC best-of-3 College World Series final tonight, 7 Eastern on ESPN2 and the App One Tap. Vanderbilt, the defending national champ, taking on Mississippi State. Coming up, in a very honest moment, Tom Brady says you shouldn't believe a word he says. Why talkative Tom